Great. Well, thank you, and welcome everyone to this morning's session on the journey towards becoming a customer-centric organization. My name is Puhm, and I'm the founder of Kia CX Consulting, a strategy and advisory consultancy for customer success. Prior to founding my own company, I spent 21 years in rapidly growing startup companies in software, and I've built every post-sales organization responsible for serving customers and figuring out how to scale. Most notably as VP of Customer Experience at Day Software, which then became Adobe Marketing Cloud, and Eloqua, which became Oracle Marketing Cloud. So one of the biggest challenges I had in trying to figure out how to scale and serve customers was to understand to figure out what was the business model that I needed to be able to achieve that. And I find that that's actually one of the biggest challenges that senior executives have today. So my experience has convinced me that a customer-centric organization is the way to do that. And so what I'm going to be reviewing with you today is what it means to be a customer-centric organization, why is it so critical to the success of your company, and I'll review with you the 3 tenets to becoming customer-centric so that you can build that up at your organization. I thought the best way to talk about what it meant to be customer-centric was to share with you the journey of Eloqua becoming a customer-centric organization. And to set up the context, when I joined in 2011 to establish customer experience and grow it, Eloqua was doubling revenue year over year consecutively for the last 5 years. It had defined the market in marketing automation, was the market leader, and it loved its customers, and the customers loved Eloqua. So by all intents and purposes, a success model. But the model was actually starting to crack. It wasn't scalable. And so there was renewal rates were starting to drop, and they were actually below than the industry standard. And adoption of the software within our customers' environments was taking longer than it should have. So this erosion of the retention was a serious threat not only to revenue, but it actually was hampering our ability to grow. In fact, when we looked at research, for every 1% increase that we could improve retention rates, it meant roughly $10 million of cash that we could inject back into the business to grow. So it was a very compelling reason to increase retention. And so we set out on a journey to increase that renewal rate and also keep customers for life. And we knew we couldn't just tweak that customer experience, we had to truly innovate it. And so we set out on doing just that. And what we started with was understanding the customer. So we hired a third-party consulting firm to conduct the voice of the customer and voice of the industry analysis. We had 200 of our customers interviewed in depth to understand what their experience was interacting with Eloqua and where they were lacking in their experience. And then we benchmarked ourselves against best-of-breed SaaS software companies to understand where we were falling behind. From those results, we actually created what we call our customer bill of rights. It was basically what the customer could expect to achieve from us or receive from us in terms of operating with us. And we used that as a guiding principle for how we were going to go and innovate that journey. And so there's a lot of things that we did in the year to year and a half that it took us to transform our organization to customer-centric. But I'm going to highlight the 3 main key elements. And they were, 1, we mapped out what we believed our customer journey to be. And then 2, we defined the segments of our customers based on some key criteria that it made sense for us in terms of how they adopted the software. And then we built the corresponding account coverage model to ensure that our resources were aligned to support that journey. And so it was very comprehensive based on customer feedback, so we were set up for complete success. And then we launched. And so if you can imagine what that ensuing chaos was, it did look a lot like this, and it was pretty painful. We made a lot of mistakes, one being that we rapidly executed with a little information to our customers about the transformation that we were taking them through. But more significantly, we had defined a journey that we had envisioned for them on how they should use the product and how we wanted them to use the product. It was from our perspective, not the customer's perspective. And so after about 6 months of a lot of firefighting and a lot of pain, we actually had to pull back and reassess what we were doing. And so we did a take two. And what this time we did was we actually mapped out the customer's journey from their perspective. What is it that they wanted to achieve? What is it that would best, how would they best integrate our software into their environment to be successful and achieve the outcomes they wanted to receive? And then because we had a clear understanding of what it is that their journey was, we could then map the roles and responsibilities very clearly to supporting the customer through that journey. We understood what skill sets were required to provide really relevant help and support for them. And then what we did was we engaged the entire organization. It couldn't be just the responsibility of customer success to provide a really good customer experience. It had to be a philosophy within the company. And so we had to make sure that everybody understood the customer journey and thought from the customer's perspective so that they could understand very specifically how their roles impacted the customer. And so we launched, and after about a year, we did achieve quite a great level of success. We did increase the renewal rates by 6%, and if you remember that 1% equals 10 million, that's a significant amount of coin going back into the company to grow. We did increase revenue from $60 to $90 million. We did achieve that customer-centric organization predicated based on that customer journey and everybody understanding what the customer was trying to achieve. And because we were really clear about what that success path was for customers, we could clearly articulate to customers what they could expect, and we could also define the roles very clearly. So employees understood very specifically what they should be doing with customers. That increased the rate of success they had with their customers, which then in turn increased employee engagement as well. So truly a win-win situation. And then at the end of 2012, we were acquired by Eloqua for a record $870 million. So, Eloqua's in good company when you look at results like this. There's other companies that have achieved those types of results as well when becoming customer-centric. And in fact, research conducted by Forrester in 2016 found that companies focused on customer experience grow revenue at a rate of 14% faster than their competitors. So this is a vital strategy for you to be able to perform and scale your companies. And so it is the new business way of doing business. So what is this new customer-centric model? It's understanding your customers' objectives and then designing the business operations around that customer journey and using customer-centric thinking to drive the business outcomes that your customers are looking for, which will ultimately drive that value that they came to you for. And in turn, that revenue flows back to you as well in terms of a loyal customer that continues to grow. So if this is the new business model, how do we go about building that within our organizations? I believe that the 3 tenets of customer centricity are customer thinking, business alignment, and objectives alignment. And so I'm going to review each 3 with you. When I start to work with clients and get them to start that transformation to becoming a customer-centric organization, I start with having them appreciate what does customer-centric thinking really mean. And I use the analogy of going on a road trip because we're all familiar with that. It's quite a pleasurable experience. And so if I was to tell you we're going on a road trip, hop in the car, and I didn't tell you where we're going, how long we're going, or what you could expect to do when we got to this destination, I would suspect that you'd feel a bit anxious, you wouldn't really trust me, and you wouldn't really be an active participant in wanting to move along with the journey. But if instead I told you and sold you on the value proposition of how wonderful this road trip will be, and I sat and understood with you, where is the destination that you'd like to go? And what would you like to do when you get there? And that I actually know the best route to get there, I'm sure you'd be quite excited about this, and you'd be a willing participant in participating in this road trip. The same goes with software when we're with our customers and helping them adopt it. Basically, you really want to understand, why did your customer buy? And what are they trying to accomplish with the software? And what are they trying to learn to achieve from that? And very specifically as well, what motivates them to execute? So that you can understand how best to integrate your software really seamlessly into the organization. This morning we talked about a frictionless experience. The more you understand from their perspective, the more you can work in your software very frictionless. And then the second element of starting to build that customer-centric thinking is capture the successful customer journey for your customers. You have many customers, and a lot of them have been successful with your software. Pull out those trends, map out that customer journey, that codify it. That is the success route, so that you can actually take future customers on that and continue to drive them successfully through the adoption of your software and integrating that into the environment. The second tenet is building that business model alignment. Now that you know where the customer wants to go, and you know the best route to get there because you're the expert, you've got to make sure that the driver and the vehicle are performant, that you're actually going to have the tools available to get that customer through the journey. And so think about that as your roles and responsibilities and your methodologies that will be the vehicle to get them through to that journey. And so the first element to take a look at when you're aligning to that customer is to look at the roles and responsibilities. This is a construct I use with clients to figure out where on the spectrum of their customer success skill sets they should be. I'm not going to go through it right now in detail. We don't have time for that, and I'm happy to share with anybody after this session. But the main point here is, now that you know that customer journey and what that success path looks like, you can start to understand what are the skill sets required to support that customer effectively. And in essence, you can create roles and responsibilities that align very well with the customer and are very relevant for them to achieve their goals. And then once you have the roles and responsibilities defined, define your playbook. You've got that journey. Define the plays that will actually support them getting through that journey, so that you have a very consistent methodology and approach for driving success. And then finally, this is a term that I've coined, which is the third funnel. You're actually creating the analogous funnel in the post-sales side to what sales and marketing has had for years, which we've never had before. If you've got the journey and you have all the plays that need to be performed to get through there, you can actually define metrics for each stage, and you can start to see the velocity of customers going through their journey. This is very effective in becoming a proactive customer success organization. If all customers are bottlenecking around one stage of the journey, you know that there's something wrong with your operations and you need to improve that to remove that bottleneck. If one or two customers are either going faster or slower than the average, you know that you either have superstars on your hand or you have some laggards where you need to shore them up and provide some extra support. So very effective tool in becoming proactive. And then the third tenet is objectives alignment. Make sure that everybody's going to the same destination. So internally, you want to align the company through the customer KPIs. A great customer experience truly is a cross-functional responsibility. It can't just be the responsibility of one department. So align the customers through those objectives that you're trying to achieve to support them successfully through their journey. Tie the bonuses of employees to customer metrics that are appropriate and relevant to your organization. And then also align compensations to the account coverage model on that slide that I had showed previously. So to summarize, we looked at what it means to be customer-centric. It means understanding your customer objectives and designing business operations around that successful customer journey so that you're driving the successful outcomes for the customer that bring value to them of why they bought and ultimately drives revenue back to you. Companies that are customer-centric outperform hands down the competition, and it's been proven time and time again, and those have been themes within the whole summit. And then finally, the 3 key tenets to customer-centric organizations are customer-centric thinking, business alignment, and objectives alignment internally so that you're all headed in the right direction. So I wish you all the best of luck in your journey in terms of becoming a customer-centric organization. I'd love to hear how things are going, so please feel free to reach out to me. And at this point, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Hi, so thanks first of all. I work for a SaaS company. We're building everything from scratch now, our customer success team. And my question is, when you set up goals, sometimes with a corporate level, you do a subscription for a corporate level, and sometimes they have employees on the bottom line that now you just handed them a new software, and the goals are different from the corporate level goals. How do you approach them? Sometimes you send an invite to these employees and they do not respond because it's obviously something new and they are not adapted yet.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's something I hear from my clients all the time, and I think one of this is a really important element when I'm journey mapping with customers. People think that we should start training our customers on the software and start right away by deploying. And actually, one of the most key things that is often missed is to sit down with your customers and understand them. Why did they buy? The same team that you're deploying with might not have been the team that's sold. So you better first ensure that does that team understand who bought within their organization and why did they buy? Are they on the same page? You start to ferret that out very quickly, because if you find that they're not in line, then you're going to have problems even if you start that deployment. So you might as well figure that out sooner than later and get that figured out. And it's like that road trip analogy. Get them excited about why they bought and tell them that here are the results they can achieve. Make them a willing participant to want to come into the journey versus telling them to get in the car and start motoring them along. So my suggestion is have that discussion, spend the time, it's well worth it to understand, do they understand why their superiors or why the people in the company bought, and what is their overall objectives, and make sure they all understand that. And when they do understand that, they should recognize the value and want to be excited about moving forward.
Hi, and thank you again. And it's to tag along on that question as well. It's that particular topic about the road trip, as well as to sit down with the customer. How do you do it when you're starting from scratch, but you already have over 10, 15,000 customers? How do I start at this scale, if you want, with having also to prove that we have to do this customer success kind of process?
So let me just make sure I understand the question. So you're starting from scratch, but you already have that process?
We've been in the business for a couple of years, have over 10,000 customers already, which in turn each have multiple users at different levels in the organization using the application.
Yeah.
But nobody is really taking care of the customers. There's no customer success. From the point that we sell to the point where we renew, nobody's talking to them at all.
Right.
So we want to put that into place now. But we need to sit down and figure out what are they trying to achieve. It's the common theme that I hear.
Yeah.
But there's so many of them. So how do we begin when we have so many customers and we're two?
Got it. Understood. Okay, so I mean, journey mapping. I can't emphasize that enough. If in my 22 years in software, there's one aha moment I had, it's the time at Eloqua when I started to realize I need to journey map. I need to understand the customer from their perspective and what they're trying to do. And you can do that. You don't have to go and talk to all 15,000 customers. You already know, just by seeing what your most successful customers are doing and aren't, that you can start to journey map and figure out what that is, and then start to understand how you're going to deploy a customer success program that's very aligned to that. And then you're in a good situation. Sometimes it's worse if you have to take away what you've been doing before. You're adding to what you're doing. And so customers are never going to be upset when you're dealing with them more or you're adding some sort of service. So you just be very clear about what it is that you're going to do now as a customer success program. And it's very effective to do that when you know what you're trying to get the customer to do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're all out of time, so we have a couple more minutes between our next session. I want to thank everyone. You can stick around here or choose your next destination. Thank you.